I'll make this like a regular weekly thing, or at least every 2 weeks, if time permits, because it's election year, so we have to do it. Anyway, where was I? So what I was saying, people react to information. We cannot give up hope. Gambian, they're only interested in short-term benefits, like when politicians give them money and they don't really care about policies. They vote along tribal lines, along ethnic lines, along regional lines. They vote on self-interest. A lot of that could be true, but people react to information and they react to it based on the information that they receive. So let's give people the right information. The rest is between them and their conscience. And I'm sure Gambian people are mostly good, decent people, and they will act based on what they believe is right. Because people know the difference between right and wrong, and they're interested in the future of their children. So afuta nyawanya, they will do what is best in the interest of their children. Because and from what we're seeing, they probably know where we are headed. Shut up about my hat. Don't distract me. I'm serious today. In fact, this is like a serious year. Let's get serious. So we are sliding fast into a very dangerous territory in the Gambia. And we all need to brace up and do something about it. That is where information comes in. Let us talk to the people. Let us show them that where we are is not right, where we are headed is not right. Gambia fought a battle to end tyranny and corruption. But the most important battle we fought in 2016 was to end tyranny and Jammeh's excessive human rights abuses. That was primary on the agenda in 2016. That was number one. Everything else took a back seat. The most important thing we had to do was, at that time, to end the atrocities Jammeh was committing in that country. That was on the minds and mouths of every single Gambian, whether they admitted it or not, that Jammeh needed to go because of the human rights violations that was taking place. The corruption was there, but people likely could ignore that to a certain extent. Because, it's the Gambia. It's so small. If your relative is in government or is close to Jammeh, then you actually become a part of that corrupt net where you can make something out of, go to their office and they will give you a money bottle or something. So those things were there. The corruption was there, but it was not high on the agenda, not as high as the human rights abuses and atrocities that were taking place in that country. Gambians managed to take that back because that was the most important thing. Barrow thinks that people are not going to pay attention to the corruption that was taking place in that government, and that he can continue to be corrupt without people making, batting an eye about it. No. Since we have gotten rid of that tyranny, the most important thing that we focus on now is our lack of social amenities, our lack of facilities in that country. That is exacerbated by the corruption, and as a result, that is the battle we're going to fight now. The fight to end the corruption. The blatant corruption is out in the open for everybody to see that this government is absolutely corrupt, and they have no intention of turning the page to do anything better. They have no intention of making things right for the Gambian people. They have been given enough chance, and they have shown us who they are and what they want to do and where they want to stay. The question is, do we want to stay there? I think majority of Gambians don't. Like I said, the battle was to end Jammeh's tyranny. He was killing people, raping the economy, everything that worked. Jammeh abused. So that became unbearable to the point that people had to vote him out. So Barrow, being the Barrow that he is, not smart, doesn't want to listen to smart people, thought that, oh, because we have democracy in the Gambia, everything is good now. I can be president and do whatever I like. No. That democracy is won by Gambians, and they're going to preserve it. If Barrow wants to tamper with that, that country would burn down. Nobody wants to go back to where Jammeh put us the 22 years that he was in power. Nobody's going to go back there. And if Barrow Muneketala, he will not try to take us back to that place because he knows Gambians will not stand for it. This democracy that is won in the Gambia was won by Gambians, and they are safeguarding it. They don't want to see any semblance of dictatorship in that country anymore. Barrow can use his executive powers as far as the corrupt constitution allows him to. People might not have much power to counter him in that regard. But if he wants to take away people's rights, to bring back the days of Yahya Jammeh, that country will burn down. That much we can assure everybody. Like, people don't want to go back to that. They have already tasted their freedoms, and he tries to credit himself as the one who gave Gambians freedoms or allows it. It doesn't matter whether you allow it or not. Gambians earn their freedom, and they're going to keep it. So now the corruption that is taking place in that government is the focus, because it is depriving citizens. People are dying in numbers that they don't need to be dying. Can you imagine you're expecting a child, 9 months of being happy, but that is accompanied by anxiety because you don't know if you go to the hospital if you're going to make it or not. That is where we are as a country. And then we have this whole issue of young people who have no jobs. They took money from their families. All of their families' life savings and the lands that they have, they sold it so that they can go to Europe. Some of them died at sea, some of them made it into refugee camps, and they still can't get themselves out of. And these European governments, because of economic reasons or whatever reason, are deporting them back to the country. We have all that going on in that country, and Adam Barrow doesn't care anything about any of those things. All he does is use his Meet the People store as a political, as an opportunity to politic for his NPP. All those young people coming back to the country with anger, with frustration, without money. And now we are seeing tons and tons and tons of drugs, hard drugs, being intercepted at the Gambian port. There's 3 possibilities. 1, those who imported that much, so many tonnages of drugs, hard drugs, and want to transit it through the Gambia or have it docked in the Gambia or whatever, they must have had an assurance that when it comes, it will not be intercepted. 1. 2, they must have convinced themselves that Gambia security is so poor that we can get this through the Gambia and nothing will come out of it. Or 4, they are in cahoots with somebody who told them bring it. Even if they detect it at the port, nobody's going to do anything about it. One of these things is true. Our security is so lax, so non-existent. People smuggle drugs. Maybe you can say they have like a pound, 5 pounds, 10 pounds. 2 tons, 2,000 kilograms of drugs, and you expect that not to be intercepted at any port that is seriously, considered a port? We must not have a security in that country, because if we do, even if it is the most primitive of security apparatuses that we have in the world, there is a chance that could be detected. So the question is that somebody gives them the assurance that bring it, nothing will come out of it, we'll save you. And we're getting information that Interpol was actually the one who tipped them off. They have to act on it. How can you have that much drug enter a country? Whether it's in transit or it's going to be distributed there, it doesn't matter. If it enters that country, what is going to happen? And we know people around Barrow. Selaba Samade is nobody's, mystery guy. The people who know him, I don't. But they know he's into these kind of shady deals. First, we had a shipment of guns, and then now we're having a shipment of drugs, all while we have a government in the country. And the president cannot even muster the courage to have Gambian security officers be his personal bodyguards and be in charge of Gambia's security. He has to rely on a different country. Why? Because he has no faith in our security apparatus, and he cannot make the necessary changes that are supposed to take place. This man has been given enough chance. He has been supported enough. He has been backed enough for him to do the right thing. He didn't want to do the right thing. So we know all he is going to be is all he is being right now. There is nothing that's going to change in that country as long as we have Adam Barrow at the helm of that country. So like I said, people act on information, and the right kind of information is what we need to put out there. And what is that information? He is not good for the country. Him remaining in power is not good for the country, and he does not deserve a second term in that country. The Gambian people will act on it. They will vote him out. Like I said, we have won our freedom from dictatorship and tyranny. Now we need to fight and win the battle against corruption, and that is symbolized by Adam Barrow's administration. So that is the task ahead of us. Everybody can go to your political party. You can go to the platform that you like. You can be with whoever you want to be with. But let us all agree that our country is not in the right shape, it's not headed in the right direction, and it needs to change. That much is true. Whether we admit it or not, that much is true. We can all have our personal grievances and, think that we are the best to lead the country, we are the best to move the country forward, our camp is the best to move the country forward. That's all well and good. As long as the policies are there, the people are going to charge you for the promises you made. If you feel like your camp is the best, go and fight like hell to put them in place. At the end of the day, they all made one promise to the Gambians: we'll make the Gambia better. So when they come, we're going to hold them to account. You promised to make things better. Now we want to see you deliver that. It doesn't matter who it is. So if you believe your camp is the right, let us, use our platform, use our voices, talk to our people back home. That's all it takes. Hey, go and vote for APRC and MPP. Those two, they need to go. But everybody else, we all have our questions about them, our question marks against them. I have my question marks against the other political parties. Others have their question marks against the UDP that I support. All that is important in a democracy. Let people have their discussions and see who is going to best serve their interests. That's all well and good. We gave Adama Barrow a chance because nobody is going to regret the fact that Yahya Jammeh went. And people meant it in 2016 when they said, even if you put a dog here, we're going to vote for that dog instead of Adama, because they had enough of the killings and you cannot blame them. It doesn't matter what comes after that. The most important thing was Yahya Jammeh needed to go, he needed to go. We added our voice to that and he went. So now, based on what we are seeing, Barrow also needs to go. And he should go. So let us all add our voice to that. Talk to the people we know. If you want them to vote for GAP, let them vote for GAP. If you want them to vote for GDC, let them vote for GDC. We will talk to the people we talk to and tell them to vote for the UDP. At the end of the day, our common ground is Gambian deserves better and Adama Barrow is not. He has been tried, he has been tested, he has been given a chance, he has failed. Let's tell the people that and they will act on it. They know. People don't need to be, scared into acting a certain type of way. Let us just give them the right kind of information, just like they did in 2016, they will do the same again. People going around saying, oh, incumbency. Yahya Jammeh was an incumbent when he was taken out. Yes, he was taken out through a coalition. But that was the temperature then. The people knew that Jammeh needed to go, and the most viable option at that time was to come together, unite as one, and put one agenda on the table. Jammeh needed to go. What comes after that, we don't care, but he needed to go. That was the entire premise of the coalition 2016. Jammeh needed to go. That is why everything in their memorandum was centered on one thing and one thing only: how to assume the presidency and kick Jammeh out. Even though we know local government elections are going to come after that, we know National Assembly elections are going to come immediately after that, the most important thing on that agenda was to kick Jammeh out, and he went. And like I said, Gambian people meant it. Even if you put a dog there, we're going to vote for that dog. Even though nobody understands dog language, but that tells you the level of disdain they have for Yahya Jammeh and what he wrought on the Gambia, so they had to kick him out. He went. And now this idiot who comes after Yahya Jammeh couldn't even recognize the fact that Gambians went through so much that I should not in any way, shape or form have any single kind of resemblance to what was here before. I need to chart a new course. And all the people that were around him, supposed to help him move things forward, he didn't want to listen to them. Why? Because he had this presidency on a silver platter. Now he is out here lying to people. When it was tough, you ran away and went to Senegal. But all that is water under the bridge. History has been written. Yesterday is gone. We cannot change that. The facts are there. You can interpret them anyhow you want, but the facts are already there. But what is important now is just to come and give you this introduction. Now against December, like we used to do, we'll be coming back. All we have is information to give people. And that means our perspective. That's what we're going to share. People don't have to agree to it, but we will keep sharing it. WhatsApp groups, Facebook posts, blog posts, Facebook Live, it doesn't matter. We have to take this battle. We cannot sit down and watch our country slide into a narco state where people cannot even feel safe in their homes, because that is what's going to happen. Once these drugs start flooding the streets, they cannot make their way to Europe. Whoever invested in that is going to try to find an outlet. And what are they going to do? Flood the sub-region with drugs. That has been Guinea-Bissau's problem for the longest time, and now we're seeing the same thing surface in the Gambia. So are we going to sit down and watch it slide, or are we going to do something about it? The most we can do about it as citizens is exercise our civic duties and responsibilities. That's what we can do. Nothing more than that. So you can be on board that bandwagon, or say out of selfish reasons that, you know, Adama Barrow is doing good, so we're just going to support him. If you think doing good is making empty promises and building roads that people don't have cars to drive on, when the most basic things, people are in that country hungry, they can afford 3 square meals. Even if they could send their kids to school where they will have breakfast and lunch, that would be, you know, a little better. At least you're taking care of them. Like we used to back in the days of Jawara. You go to school, you have breakfast in the morning, and then when it's time for lunch, you have lunch. Parents don't have to worry about their children being hungry. They just have to cook one meal for them. And the weekends, that's all they have to worry about. They go to school and they'll be well fed. They come home. Parents don't have to worry about stuff like that. But we don't even have that in the country. The cost of living is so high with no prospects of employment anywhere. And you're telling us Barrow is doing good for the country. How is he doing good when the human capital is suffering? That's the level of selfishness and greed that is in that country, because anybody who is in their right mind knows that the Gambian people are suffering. It was not his job to come and rectify that, but he could put structures in place that will make sure whoever comes after will find it like an easier job to move things forward. We've all seen in the past with what happened in America. If America didn't have strong institutions, what happened in the Gambia is what would have happened. A foreign country coming into the country to try and save lives. Because we didn't have any institutions. Jammeh was the be-all, end-all of everything in that country. If we were not members of ECOWAS and we didn't have help, Jammeh would still have been there and he would have killed so many people to stay in power. But as soon as the same scenario tried to play itself out in this country, what happened? The institutions kicked into gear and they stopped it. That was this man's whole agenda. Do some reforms, security sector reform, because those were the torturers and killers of Gambian people. The constitution gave too much powers to the president. Let us change that. He didn't want to do any of that. There was so much corruption that people did not get the monies that they needed in their communities to develop their communities. The Jammeh Commission came to do that. Barrow doesn't care about any of those things anymore. That was the reason that people supported him, people voted for him, and then backed him, so that he will have the opportunity to put together a team that will advise him, that will help him to move forward. You don't just assume the presidency and everything will be hunky-dory. We get that. That is why even in this country, people have like a 100-day plan. The first 100 days in office will do this, that, or the other. People give them an opportunity until the 100 days is over, and then start saying, you promised this, you didn't do it, you promised that, but there's no communication. What is wrong? At least come and tell us, hey, I promised this, but I couldn't do it because of this, that, or the other thing. But none of that is happening. All he cared about, and we told you, you don't want us as your opposition, because you will be distracted. The entire constitutionally mandated Meet the People store that you were supposed to go around, listen to the people and their concerns, what is their problems, so that you can tell them this is what my government is doing and that or the other thing, so that by this time next year, this problem will be addressed. He didn't do that. What does he do? Getting loud mouths from the diaspora that everybody knows are non-entities to come and stand on his political platform and say they're insulting Lawyer Dabo, they're insulting the UDP. Go for it. That doesn't faze us. Yeah, Jammeh did much worse. And I know Barrow, it doesn't matter if there's 1,000 of him, he's not going to be able to do that. Because Gambia is a democratic state now, thanks to the effort of Gambians. And they're going to stand by to make sure that doesn't get jeopardized. So he can try everything he can, turn that into a political fest. We told you you'll be distracted when you make UDP your opposition. So now that's what we are seeing. Instead of listening to people's concerns and addressing it, he is out there trying to paint UDP what it is not. It's not going to succeed, because the same platform you have is the same platform we have too. And we're going to come and counter everything you say. So, you know, you cannot wear us out. That much we can tell you. You, your supporters, I'll beg. Mero imam for all of my manjabos. So konga na jane ka announce ka mo yang ko mina start la kana nali kacha ka bo sign na fo jane carte fa wato be sila bawo hani dino mo dino de islam abe lore mun kan wolon kuma kan wat kila kuma kan wala samana mole ala ko teng al nyinke al kana nyinke to nya hana tra kawo kolke wol kete jamano la man yalla ka man ketel jamano nka man mol la lata la bawo lata kila la lata la kila ya la lata la ko ala la aki bar fengo fen bembulu be nta ka bara men na mu kuma kan wala awol la tumbulu ja ala même fa be alquran ko membe sunnot so kuma mu fenne de me yalla ko ku malam ku sembe malam asembo warta nyaade le ne mol yok mo so me yalla ko to nyaala mi bara la ya ko nyimo to nyaalti je blano bari men hani wo jamano le ka fa men e kafiro mo kamera kafiro mo le to men yalla ko malla alal niaje kala jalon bot yo fennel je ya suute ya je ko kula be kere me yalla ko le sembo warta de me entel da hana tare do bot le babat le jalon la bari ya suute la ko dar la bent la wala da man so sa men kina ni wona na koyongo alkanyi men ka mbete akanyi men ka mbete ya e balanta bulu ka dum ne di be silo men kan ne obule to lana fata tarraji wala ka kafiriya o kafiriya kilo ngol be baro man sakunda kon e nya bala banko dingol be tora ni be man tora le ni mol wolte ko ni membe ke ya manke siloti ba o tala karfa jo ni tadi am da dro be tinyala inim baro te mo be sutiyari nyame ni to ko haani mo to nyaala anu yalla ko to nyaala woti yesi ngola o kay ko wonte to nyaala ebe mol nenal taren dro bita o kafiri asifa wala biji so kuma kangol membe finten la kay ne mol la ko ni membe kera manke siloti masa ku nanya data mala tenne wala mun na do ko banko dingo bel do ko ngol tinga nyo hakil maya nga nyo la fa hakilo nga tan nyo la ko ni ko membe keri manya na tar la keri mun ya saba manya na kala nga o dalilol fana sama so nimme ya je ko te fe ni na fi sarante ka tambi ni ndol be mem foka isa blow no mota mo forcé no le yeke fend ebe ko mole tan da dron yello ndo dia mi aje molka information di ni aje ya jambe si wate follow ay kelo ka information ka kuntu ka bantambe mo le information tema wala kibaro tema ay wala lonko memme kere ni mole yalo be balonto wala na radio station tije men isa kuma fo memandi ya jamme newspaper tije men sa kuma fo memandi ya jamme ni ba fala fane ba fala ni nyala mo me yalo ko ata kala cool dan kene maren par hanu wo fawonte mo jël la ka newspaper ka ngambe mo dantan nam ko mboko na band so ni aje aje men dictator be daade ko bantambil mol ni information tema ni aje tromba fam fala je lolo fake news because ala kuja wala mbekera bu kala fa mol wala kalamut adama baro nala bala mol fanande ifana do ku kelmol la ni aje lo rala meeting platform to ha UDP nyin dabo nyin UDP nyin dabo nyin ikala fal ya ike damen chodale jelo jube molbe damen chodi kete la ma fon kala fal yoto jube bawo tinyaro le bije kalanta yala bije kenya lombal yala bije men setal ma ko no ko banko yiro wona ta nyaato te kolte la mala wal so ñu ndol ke jawol so ni aje dictator ko kundu mol ne information no nyaato ko banta mel mol ne information no tema e ka wala kam pour membe kere mol kanalon munane bu kala fi wala because yala ni mol yala mem to nyaato be bara la wala be wala no so men ka si ka ko ha mol bu ka karre fay mo to nya mol bi je men yalla ko wol hani se munele ka bawo ne ka kankil mol fo be karre fay le hani se munele ka bawo ne be bota ma fan kino be karre fay le hani se munele ka bawo ne mu badi ngol ti al mu jele wulu jele kino be karre fay le ba buñ jey men fo wala ni badon kalanta nya nya fasa na boyta mo ka nga fasa ba fasa la nya di to nya fay so ni te ba masa kunda ko no yaaje ko membe kera manke silot ite fidita arma ke kan ko ni membe kera manke silot nga kete man sonne dankul yaake kilen yaake fula yaake saw ibe fanyola kadi ka jelo ko nyin nana faabe damen to banko la na faabe damen ta man pare ga ko til woto won batanga dabaje may fari ma fu mo le bar mo je ma sobe da ko wala na ya dabo ni masa kunda ka ni mo ya wara bu kella may e kam ne ki jakote nim ti ñaaro be kala bel dabaje bawe fanam bije so information ko di nyola kana ka nyo hakil maya banko nyata tamal nyaadel adama mu ne ka manyana menkela mu ne be ke nga nyanta menkela man son na kela nga na nga wala mol ye keno do mol fana ya jube ko be nga fa nyamantel to mo forcément la ka fo ko be nyene kela balle be nyene kela le be da carte fo la e ka do njele ni ala da mala bije e ba fele me yow betel buluje so na reta juso la ta ko nga nyim fa ya tam man to la so mo wala da inshallah nga sino ni to rata taranya je isra ye carte fo bar de yo to kela na fana bala fer no men kala so ke baro de yo take atele nyin kilo mamandi anu mol ba kelo la fo jan December na tara mera ka mol koren la mo koren so den December kola membe nyaato bitu won so fanantu alabul bare ndi ko mo ke ko kono ku e fana ke kono ko to le batama ba Gambia ko la ka ba mo bele ka ba ko mo ka afuta nyanya xane be wulo ko ne ba do le biji nim bata ye taki dewta mo bu ko la fi ko mo daan bare sa je telephone si ka ye ko ha ma ko nyin nyin andi to ya je ko ba do la wati ta tu no la ji wota wala bata mo dafa na bata ka fo ko mol be siren tuba abdul ya ko lo so ne ara ja hani me ba do tora ake fanan tora hana treta ke la marie fo ake ni tora so mbela ba bata ko ko hal si Allah tuba do ale fata mo la janto albala nim diam si amana kana fi no wul ni mo la banko kam bele be dendinga so nga fe yalla ngura jakam fanan tinja so angan tesiri ngam badi ngol contact for WhatsApp lembang for Facebook lembang for any member diam la telephone la lembang ngai tandila ko membe kunna manke selot dunia baby da kan nyatum tol be ta kan koma fende fa mo kum kilo la na fa men aba sulari wol ite itara sirim banko kay ko drogo ton fly wala muta yalla o mu fal jelle ne wala falo ko e be fal kemen fel nan ni ma fal wala kilo wala fulo ibo wasila wo be drogo yo sama nan banko kay ka sama nan jeegi jumale woto mole yete la mane ni na ko nafla to nan jeek tanota na telo sol la bari e ba kala dalilo la kam wala te fana sita le yela kool mire ya mire ko ha Gambia de woto tankata woto tanka bundati ye ko ko diata nyen saki jele kuta lalanka ni wala woto mintal bela masi bolle so nga kata nga nyoya mare nga nyo hakil maya men yo ku kala mota wol fana ya janjanti be nga kafu nyoma nga tesiri nga joko nyimbembe kuna manke silot na ya bulo fale nga ya kumotelin silala me ya ko banko bela na fala biye wo kan mo sabla je nga fa ko be mekke ka jaraba continue bari to bina fentable yana si bi ka mol la hidi million le badi la mo kunkele nal ba o manem wol ka lolé be te jayel banko mol to mal wol be sire ete kilin kam men mo karo kon ni tare o di isa o di tundo mu membele sa do mata ban so ko famo ka nga nanan janto nga ño hakil maya ni mekala kon kula te me ka ba continuer la janni ba fala katre fay wato be silo atala keloma anda kelo nyimbe fay kele ndabala ko ha diamo si atala ga menol bu ke la moy tele ka carte fay ndajina bata janale 2021 carte fay samala nga kelo nyama 2016 ba kala wala nyama 2021 fo janni be fanjala ko ko nyimba nyimbulo kon so ko ngana na wala soro di alla ni ala sonta ala fu fa ngal tumbala jara ken ya sabarita da fama la ko teke inshallah so fo janne next week wala hana man keno lo konte bare mba tra la dal kanana weekend on lim mol kakaja nga ñu hakil maya dal la lo la men bo kala ni nga jabe tiñare na dino en karane men ne ku jawoje abondi bulola ni ma bono bulola woto e nawata ya bane ni mo keno akoy sonno mo kon dal ta bono lam bulola bare nango be mbul la non kono mo ni ala yo fanan tumbul mo fanan da fa la ñewala koy ta fam fa la jamba fa la fo mol be barala la fo ta barala o be tel boli barala ñaari la carrière be bulu ba men di be men solale ya sa won tel fana man kuno ba fo nga fo mba fulal an sa fo nga fo de fo fana ta kuno la won men ya lan ko a fora table a sembo table wol saaje ko nyimu kulere me ya lan ko manke ko nyimate ya ko ngi sondo mo kono bar na carte fay waro si da wota sa e joroma di fana la le ko ko nyim ku jawam be ja bonde ja di fana ta e carte fay mo me ya ka manke adam baro ndal mo hadama ni wonda mal tin se jiko da mal soto no mor adama baro nga jiko soto la kuotole ko bebe no men kono be nga kala muta nyo fela man jolon na san santo man fendina banko kono be na be banko kan jele bata mel lata mol kan nga jel al nga bata nga bay mol yo jiko le sota banko be kidita ka bar bi ni aje mo be da bonda la ko to manem o bata kelo mo membe jata ka manta wala bon la mol kan ata la fan kun kele na fa ba tesit la wala ne mo mantara ko ko na e jindi ala boso ko so o jiko men nga sota to kunu ama o jiko ma fa modu ka jiki mo la me an ko nyongol mi jiki tam e nyongol mo jawo men hani munasa ga way e ka aju be le bo tinyala nyaadi a ñum ko ñu fonta na fa hana tambi atakira million to be sa en ko ñente na fa mo baraka man mo fankot bar mom yalon ko ñungolam yalon ko mo kendol e hamita la ko ko a ñinde ngamla nit ñi sotoge abe mbela na fa e ko hamela e duwa en kan soto gameno le jiko so adam baro ko e bulta pour ka makoy ke tesidi mo be ka fama ka makoy adam baro na daga mo le jam fantuma ata ko ata kunkele nafa be mbata nafa ata sularo wala banko molta wol niano me yem banko da mata la hajita wol so ma fanam binale be men sambal nan ka faale on kar tombo fo mba fala halifa salal tombo allo ya dabol tombo al mama kandel tombo wo be mu jikol ne gelo kunun e benu nyame mu mo sifal la moyti kabrin kole abe keren men ye boritel data wol kon kabra duta tesito sita saya futata na ko selam fo mo fa yo ka fela ntel ben fan sambala na ngam falla la tedo yendel fa ni o mo sifay sanje tannan nem fek abe jama ko no ala ko bebe lankena mare inana mala ku kurum inana mala kur yamo inana mala jaw yamo inana mala tajira yamo mona wat ne taji ko so la wala ko ni ngana ko karfa aba taman la kanya taman la nyama banko mu karfa fengol nebe mo karfa la fengol ka di mo le la ma yata men na ko bar mo me alon ko ma bod la lo ma tar la lo ma ku ke nyol lo ye banko se ka yadi wala ni woy ko le kan jete fengol o sab bar hani mel lon fana ya lon kununa sembe tabulu man sa ya tabulu nem mo kera man sa ta sike ay fale bar ndal la jonde ya mi roto ba suman na nyaade nga lon na kunum mo si fala mat woto oji ko kan be banko sigala nga karfama nata ta yela mata keta mo si fa dot wora satara o mari la matinum bara o mabon tal la tel molo eto dun balu no la dunia ka tra sobere mo la dro amanke mo kana atre mala ku jawlo so nga jigo sura adama tole aman na jikol ma fa nga karfo di ala le ay karfo tinya ay na amurun kan ko ka kala o karfa kilmo din nga sika nga di ala ko te nen ti jaaro tinya rek la jentel la nga saw so mamera gambe no mo sifa e wo foroya be kan la ba ni mo yala kan tinye doron ala foroya tinya ta na amurun na ko da ko en benyene kele amandal ñoom ko promesse ya ka be ferio de la ka be salola de la ko bañul kata bara biya bu ko fa da akala silo hana jede ya kurale ya lande je eta sonna fankela woro ni carte fa usuti an do man mamandi je pour que mol jikene nyen wonyon kafir ya fonta ke mo men ya lon ko foirol le be betare te kana ka wol jikin a jogole tabiro ko mo men ka be concurrent li jola man do moro ke tabiro e sera yana na ya da wura nya ko ka fan ko ta do mala adam baro bo tel mali asifa tara dawda se mol la hidije be leptan lo la le leptan ba me banjul borda wado la rante je dar bu fonti je ikara breka ka fa be leptan lo la banjul tade da wonem breka man jam fanyol ne wodo da far ragle ta mol ya jogo ha borol be jande ni ngal futa da jan jaralo ka kala nyante kala nyame mol be wulale bo breka man na banjul hani se bonam basse na banjul pour que na jaralo yi e se tro bata ko no je ban ni la re la hedi ko be leptan lo la fana se jikki ko ha ay banjul ta tara je la wodde da anyanta da la nyame nata ba kala telefona na se jikka bara be yaay la banko la be to trabo ko mol fala mol men man sot ni nga fo bi sa ko haye alfal ne bari alqur'ano jirna ka alfal men doya wol fanam alfal le dum maka aka fa albo kafir ya kan ali lo siloka anu ya la kila no ka mo mo bunya men tambe kila baro alfal men taraje a fo no kalbe silo nga manke tonya woto ni fana be silo ka men manke tonya de manke alati ba fla da manke tonya ni ko ma fo manke tonya ba fla fan yalla wonta nandir nin ko me ñoo maslahala wo ñama mol be talatin mbal yalla mol kunun alfal wol yalla lo la fal ya alfa ya fal sa ya se sie malot la ke ba wala fu ka be malola ne sa ya la de flol bembay ay sa ya ta malotu la ne bare bi mol man sele tola e man sele ko mola e man sele le dimbayal la e buke mira fon ko nenta bada jon songo mol be kumala fola na ko to me ala ka sa na dimbaya malu e dato ito la kunkele na fa do so natre futa wolto ma alfa ya da fa ma mo la jiko menti alfa to ma fa woro alfa ya bunya man de tel yam fana man tawgal mo le kala fa famol de ni ata man ko nyanda ta man la yam mol be bunya la ni ma ta man da nyama ma ki nyamem amal la ku ma fula le men ka amal la ku ni wo ku ya de akeku so be do mo fala na jam fala ko nga fa nyamem wati jama be nyaato me kala murana na janin carte fa aro be sela ni ala sonta ning fo fengol trambalang nan karana ni molka nyo hakil maya alimbe enteset msa keno banku dol ya kele dol konne de ba ke am fana sa keno lo nganda mol nge hakil maya membe kere ni alom men nyanta kele fana bo kala so wada malakat nan ka diam pour que information di mol la dro ko men jalba kam fo dro ni na tay be kumo fala ya maro o dambal mu ta sambot do mol ya mar le be barala men itala fero wo be itala famo bulani be ni ala teme ni ala nya sala mo be kon ila barako wala sembete je bara kumo be bulu me ala ko ya mera sa mol na faale e kanale ni mol ya de wol so ala baraka ngalam be ñoo jala ko rek inshallah tamit